Level 1. The distant citizen. Kyiv, 100 kilometers south. You are a normal citizen living in Kyiv. It is the morning of April 26, 1986. You wake up, make breakfast, and turn on the radio. The state broadcast plays folk music, then an agricultural report, then a segment about tractor production quotas. Nothing about a reactor, nothing about an explosion, nothing at all. You go about your day completely unaware that 100 kilometers to the north, a nuclear reactor has been opened to the sky for hours. You go to work, you eat lunch outside. It's a beautiful spring day. Warm, clear, the kind of weather that makes you feel good about being alive. You don't know that radioactive particles from the explosion have been drifting south on the wind since before you woke up. You don't know that your government already knows this. You don't know they are deciding what to say and when. The days pass. The radio says nothing. The newspapers say nothing. Your throat feels a little dry toward the end of the week, but it's spring. Probably allergies. You let your children play outside every single day because nobody tells you not to. The radiation reaching Kyiv is not at a level that will kill you outright, but it is real. It is landing on your vegetables. It is in the air your children are breathing on the school playground. It is measurable, and it is being measured by government instruments across the city. You are just not being told the numbers. This is why for the first several days you hear nothing. Years later, thyroid cancer rates in Kyiv, particularly in children who were young in 1986, climb in ways that epidemiologists will spend decades arguing about. The connection to Chernobyl will be contested, qualified, and bureaucratically complicated. You will never be able to point to a single day and say, that was the day, because you were never told there was a day. This is level 1. The safest distance doesn't mean safe. It means the state decided you didn't need to know, and so you didn't. Level 2. The evacuated citizen Pripyat. It's 1:23 in the morning and you're asleep. Then something wakes you. Not a sound, not exactly. More like a pressure. A deep thud that travels through the walls and the floor in your chest before you even open your eyes. You lie still for a second. Then you get up. You go to the window. There's a glow coming from the direction of the plant. Orange and deep, like something underneath the skies lit up. You've lived 3 kilometers from that plant your whole adult life. You've been told it's the safest technology in the Soviet Union. So you tell yourself it's probably fine. You go back to bed. You don't really sleep. By morning, there are emergency vehicles everywhere. You can see smoke. Your eyes are irritated. Your throat is dry. Your skin has a warmth to it that doesn't make sense, like a sunburn, but you haven't been outside. You don't know what that feeling is. Nobody has told you anything. So you do what you'd normally do on a Saturday. You send the kids to school, you go to the market, you stand outside and breathe the air. That air is carrying radioactive iodine, cesium, and strontium at levels orders of magnitude above any safe limit. You breathe it for 36 hours because nobody tells you to stop. At 2 p.m. on April 27th, a day and a half after the explosion, a police car drives through your street with a loudspeaker.
Attention, dear comrades. Due to the accident of Chernobyl power plant, an unfavorable radiation situation is developing. An evacuation is necessary.
You have 2 hours. They tell you to bring documents and food for 3 days. They tell you that you'll be able to return. So you pack for 3 days, a change of clothes, your passport, some bread and canned food, a photograph off the shelf, just one because you don't want to overpack for 3 days. You leave your furniture, you leave your photo albums, you leave your plants on the windowsill. You'll be back in 3 days. You board a bus. As it pulls away, you look up at your building. Your window is still there. Your curtains. Your life exactly where you left it. 3 days. You don't come back in 3 days. 3 days becomes a week. A week becomes a year. A year becomes a permanent exclusion zone. Pripyat is never resettled. Your apartment is still there. Your furniture is still inside. Your photo albums are still on the shelf, warped now, under decades of damp and growth. Everything you left behind because it was only 3 days, it's still there. It just has a radiation reading now. It will for the next several thousand years. This is level 2. You lived inside the disaster for 36 hours without knowing. The government had the measurements. The government knew, and they waited because evacuating 49,000 people meant admitting what had happened. Level 3. The first responder. Your phone rings in the middle of the night. Fire at the plant. Roof fire. Come in. You get dressed. You've responded to calls like this before. This is your job. On the way there, you can see the glow from the truck. It doesn't look like a roof fire, but you don't say anything. You pull up, you grab your equipment, and you go to work. When you get there, the ground is covered in debris, dark chunks of material, some of them glowing faintly. Your colleagues are already moving pieces out of the way with their hands. You don't know what the material is. Nobody told you. Those chunks are pieces of the reactor core. Holding one for 30 seconds gives you a radiation dose that will cause acute radiation syndrome. You don't know that yet. You point a hose at the fire. Water doesn't put out a graphite fire. What it does is turn into radioactive steam that you're now standing inside of. You don't know that either. Within the hour, something is wrong with your body. Nausea that comes on like a wave. Sudden, total. A metallic taste at the back of your throat. Your skin feels like sunburn from the inside. You think it's the smoke. You keep working. Because you don't leave a post because you feel unwell. That's not how this works. When they finally pull you back, a nurse checks your pulse. Your heart rate is too high. Your skin where it was exposed has darkened. Not like a bruise, deeper than that. The medical staff calls it beta burns. It's radiation burning you from the inside out. The worst cases get flown to Moscow. Hospital number 6, the only facility in the Soviet Union that exists for radiation injuries. The staff there wear full protective gear to treat you because your body is now emitting radiation. The clothes they cut off you are buried as radioactive waste. Of the 134 emergency workers who developed acute radiation syndrome that night, 28 are dead within 4 months. Others follow in the years after. You receive a certificate. You receive a small financial bonus. Your dosimetry records, if they exist at all, are incomplete or classified or simply missing. This is level 3. You were sent in first because someone had to be. And you went because you didn't know what you were being sent into. The information that could have protected you existed. It just wasn't given to you. Because if it had been, you might not have gone. Level 4. The Liquidator. You get a letter. You've been called up. Cleanup operation at Chernobyl. You report. In the briefing, they explain the problem. The roof of the building next to the open reactor core is covered in fragments of the reactor itself. Graphite, fuel, core material. It has to be cleared. Robots were tried. The radiation killed their electronics in minutes. So it's you. Your maximum time on the roof is 90 seconds. That's how long you can be up there before you hit the legal radiation limit for the entire operation. In 90 seconds, you can shovel 2 or 3 loads of debris off the edge. Then you come back down. Then you're done for the day. Before you go up, a supervisor clips a dosimeter to your suit. It records your exposure. When the total recorded dose hits the legal maximum, they can't send you back. You figure out quickly, everyone does, that the number the supervisor writes in the ledger is not the number on your dosimeter. It's lower, so your official total stays under the limit, so they can keep sending you up. This is not a secret. Everyone knows. It's just how it is. Your gear, 2 lead aprons, front and back. They cover your torso, not your legs, not your head. Your respirator is a standard construction dust mask. It's not designed for radioactive particles. Your gloves are rubber. Radiation goes straight through rubber. This is what they have. This is what you wear. When you step out onto the roof, the light feels wrong. Not dark, not bright, just wrong. You don't have a word for it. The ground crunches under your boots differently than gravel. You've been told not to look at the open reactor, so you look at the debris. You pick up the shovel. Your body moves. Shovel, throw, shovel, throw. You don't think about what you're touching. You don't think about the crunching under your feet. You just work. At 90 seconds, you stop. You walk back to the door. You don't run. They told you not to run. Running kicks up the dust. The dust is not ordinary dust. You walk, you shower, you hand in the dosimeter. A number gets written in the ledger. You eat in the cafeteria. You sleep in the barracks. Tomorrow, you go back up. After a few days, things start. A metallic taste you can't get rid of. Tired in a way sleep doesn't fix. A strange feeling in your gums. Hair on the shower floor. You don't bring it up because everyone has it. And there's still work to do. When your deployment ends, they discharge you. You get a certificate. It says you participated in cleanup operations. It doesn't say the rooftop. It doesn't list your radiation exposure. There's no medical follow-up included. They tell you to go home. Rest. Drink fluids. See a doctor if you feel unwell. In the years after, the people who work the most exposed areas develop leukemia, thyroid cancer, cardiovascular disease at elevated rates. You try to apply for compensation. The application needs proof. The proof is your dosimetry record. Your dosimetry record shows the number the supervisor wrote. The lower number, the wrong number. The form says you're fine. Your body says something else. The form wins. This is level 4. They sent you because no machine could do it, just because the human body takes longer to fail, and by the time it does, the ledger is already closed. Level 1, 100 kilometers away. Level 2, 3 kilometers away. Level 3, on site. Level 4, on the roof. 600,000 liquidators. 350,000 people displaced. A containment dome that cost 1.5 billion euros. A zone that will remain restricted for 20,000 years. The reactor is sealed now. The wolves don't know what radiation is. They're thriving. If you like this video and want more, subscribe.